Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Bob Morris, professor of biology at Wheaton College in Massachusetts, and welcome to another episode of Science with Dr. Bob. You know, I wonder about chocolate. I love chocolate. I'm a chocoholic. So let's do an experiment with chocolate today. You know, some people say that there are certain times of year that are perfect for chocolate. Well, I'd agree. I think that's all year long. So chocolate, what is chocolate? Chocolate is a delicious food made from the seeds of a tree, seeds that are harvested, fermented, roasted, ground, and usually sweetened. And a bit of biology in one of those steps means we can't actually make chocolate by ourselves. First, where does chocolate come from? Well, making chocolate starts with the seeds of a cacao tree, Theobroma cacao, pictured here. The cacao tree is a tropical tree native to equatorial regions of South America and now grown extensively in the West African countries of Ghana and Ivory Coast, as well as in Indonesia. It's an evergreen tree that thrives under the canopy of other taller rainforest trees, so you don't actually have to cut down rainforest in order to grow cacao. Cacao trees grow their seeds in seed pods like this one. And you can actually hear the seeds rattling around inside the seed pod. But this seed pod does not do justice to the living seed pods. Shown here, they are red and orange and yellow, and they grow right off the sides of the trunk of the cacao tree. Okay, so the seeds of the cacao tree are what we want. As you can see here, these seeds have been through two vital steps. First, the seed pod is broken open to remove the seeds and the pulp. One pod contains about 30 beans, and it takes about 400 beans to make a pound of chocolate, so about a dozen pods. Second, those seeds have to be fermented. And this is when the magic happens. Well, it's not magic, it's science. But it sure seems magical, and it's one of the coolest things about chocolate. We don't make chocolate alone. Microbes make chocolate with us. Because that's what fermentation is. Fermentation is a natural process carried out by healthy and helpful microorganisms that are starved for oxygen. In the absence of oxygen, those microorganisms convert sugar into alcohols or sugar into acids and gases. And thereby they enrich the flavor and nutrition of the food. Many of our favorite foods, in fact, are fermented foods. About 30% of the foods we eat are fermented foods. That includes bread. Bread is made by fermenting grains. Wine is made by fermenting fruit juice. Yogurt and cheese are made by fermenting milk products. And chocolate is made by fermenting the seeds of Theobroma cacao. How's that done? Well, you can see here the pulpy seeds are harvested from a cacao seed pod. Here you see all those pulpy seeds lined up in one pod, and the pulp is juicy and sweet and is the source of the sugar for the fermentation. Here you can see the hand of cacao farmer David Cabot Jr. mixing the pulpy, slimy cacao seeds ready for fermentation. You scoop the seeds from the pods into an airtight box, and the yeast take over, turning sugar to alcohol and carbon dioxide, and then the bacteria take over and convert the alcohol to acetic acid, the same acid that's in vinegar, and making a lot of heat. The whole process takes about 5 days, during which the bean gets darker and darker. So we actually have Native Americans and their microscopic collaborators, the microbes, to thank for first discovering and making this delicious food delicious. The beans are laid out in the sun to dry, and we have our cacao seeds ready to turn into chocolate. So here we are, back to the beans. The next step is roasting. We enrich the flavor that way. But that also breaks down some of the nutrients, so it's not always done. And the step after that is winnowing. We actually take these seeds and we break the cacao seed out of the papery shell. This, what's here, is called the cacao nib. It's the roasted, or it's the dried and roasted seed once it's been shelled. And these are edible. They're really quite delicious. They're crunchy and chocolatey and a bit nutty. Chocolate nibs are the pieces of fermented and dried Theobroma cacao seeds, and like any seed, they're rich in nutrients. Those include solids and fats, and these can be separated from each other to make dry, pure cacao and cocoa butter, which is the fat. The cocoa butter has other uses, in fact. Cocoa butter at room temperature is a solid, but it melts quickly at body temperature, and it's often used for beauty products. That's another story. Chocolate nibs can be ground up directly into a paste called chocolate liqueur, which is then sweetened to make chocolate by adding sugar. Or the cacao and the cocoa butter can be recombined in different percentages and with different amounts of sugar to make chocolate. And here's our chocolate. But there's the rub, too. It's pure cacao that has the most nutrition. Some folks actually call cacao a superfood. So what is a superfood? A superfood is a food that's unusually high in nutrients that are beneficial to health per unit weight of the food. In the case of cacao, it's unusually high in antioxidants. Those are compounds that fight the normal aging process in cells. So in fact, cacao has the highest concentration of antioxidants of any food tested, and it's thought that those antioxidant flavonoids and polyphenols may be the reason for the heart-protecting effects seen in some studies testing the health benefits of cacao. Cacao is also a great source of magnesium and other minerals as well. But remember, chocolate is not just cacao. Chocolate is cacao mixed with cocoa butter and sugar that actually dilute the nutrients of the cacao. And cocoa, which looks like cacao, but it's been heated and processed a little further, has had some of its healthy antioxidants broken down by the processing. So cocoa is not quite as good for you as cacao, and as with all foods, the less processing, the better. That means that the chocolates with the highest concentration of cacao and the lowest of sugar and fats are the ones that have the highest nutritional value. That means the dark chocolates. Milk chocolate has some antioxidant power, but it also has a lot of calories. So easy on the chocolate and heavy on the cacao if nutrients are what you have in mind. So for a delicious experience and best antioxidant payoff, go for the dark chocolate. And how about this for an experiment? You can even take cacao powder, that antioxidant-rich superfood, and stir it into hot chocolate. This boosts the antioxidant power of this delicious food, boosts the antioxidant concentration, and even enriches the flavor. So, a delicious experiment with a high antioxidant food. I encourage you, try cacao in all sorts of foods. And there you have it. Chocolate is the product of the seeds of the Theobroma cacao tree. They've been harvested, fermented, roasted, ground, and sweetened. And I'd like to thank Theobroma cacao for its great seeds and yeast and bacteria for fermenting them. Thanks to them, we have chocolate. So until next time, keep on experimenting.